When was the last time we talked about any squad in this kind of competition where they've got the Premier League player of the season, La Liga's player of the season, obviously the Bundesliga's top scorer, Harry Kane just got 44 goals in 45 games for Bayern. Like, we've got superstars across the line, along with young emerging talent like Wharton, like Eze, that are coming through now and making a case to go to the tournament as well. Is this the best England squad Southgate has had in his time, do you think?
By far. There's no argument, is there? I think one thing you could probably argue that he's not had in the past, probably bar the last one, was the strength in numbers. You look at some of those players that we had in there, and we were really crying out for, extra midfielders when we came up short, all those years ago against Croatia. We've got that depth now, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be looked to push on to that next step. I think there's always going to be those questions of whether we've got the mentality, the tournament mentality and the character to get us over that final hurdle.
And if you think that the last time England were there, they were within penalties of winning it, and we now say that this is a better squad, then yeah, it looks like anything but success over the summer and winning the whole thing will be deemed as a bit of a failure, which is a crazy standard to set in tournament football. And I think we do always have to err on the side of caution, because I think England have a bit of a reputation across Europe and the world when it comes to football of being kind of ignorant and arrogant about their standing in football. But seeing players excel on a European stage like Bellingham, like Kane, might give other countries something to think about with England for once, and actually give some credit behind what we're saying about England as potential tournament favourites. I think the only issue we might have is defensively, the structure doesn't still look quite set. And obviously there's been injury worries at left back and centre back in particular. Is that England's weak point? Is that where we might be concerned? Or do we potentially consider that the manager is the thing that might let the side down?
Defensively, for me, I think it is a bit of an issue because, the encouraging thing for me, it looks like Luke Shaw has been training. I've seen a few photos of him training this week, which is absolutely great to see, because he's by far probably our best defender, but it's whether he's got that sharpness and fitness as well. I don't know whether he will want to go back to a back five again, though. He's quite comfortable with the setup that he has. What's quite intriguing for me is actually who we're going to play off that left-hand side. I still think there's question marks there, and I still think there's question marks about how he fits Phil Foden into this team. He's probably not done it for England so far, but the season that he's had, you struggle to see a side that doesn't have him in it, to be honest.
Agreed. And it's funny because actually that seems to have written itself. You know who's going to be on the right. We've obviously got a standout number 9. And the big conversation is centred around what England's central midfield is going to look like. And for the longest time, Southgate had really settled on a few players. We knew that Phillips and Henderson were his guys. They were going to be there. And neither of them have made the squad, obviously. We're talking about Declan Rice now as one of the best holding midfielders, or at least central midfielders in, I would say, European football right now. I think he's excellent. And then Bellingham, obviously, although he's played as that kind of false 9 for Real Madrid, he will ultimately be in England's midfield as well. An incredible talent to have. And it leaves that one more spot that everyone's been talking about. Now, in the friendly, Conor Gallagher played and looked, I think, really good, actually. Showed the kind of engine he has. The work rate is really high there. So maybe he's done himself a lot of favours. We've got rich form of Kobe Mainoo, who's just come off the back of a goal in the FA Cup final as well. So how did England solve that last piece of the puzzle when it comes to the centre of midfield? We know it'll be Rice and Bellingham. Who's the third? Is it Gallagher? Is it Mainoo? Is it Adam Wharton, who came on and looked great?
That's a question I can't answer, to be honest. I think you're right. Adam Wharton looked super. So relaxed, considering that he came into that team. I think 100% pass completion rate as well, but he looks so assured, and he looks like a real talent, doesn't he? I think that future England midfield could have him in it, to be honest, because it's very different to what we've got. That's another thing that we keep saying about these players. We've got so many different players now with different talents, different abilities, that actually it gives us so much more to play with. I don't think Kobe Mainoo will be in that midfield as much as I'd like to see it.
Well, we saw Trent play there, didn't we?
Yeah,
as well.
We saw Trent in there.
And he looked good.
He did,
really good, I thought. Do you think it's likely then that actually that place isn't settled and it rotates depending on the opposition? So when we are faced with teams that are going to put up a low block against England and let us have the majority of the ball, you do put Trent there. And then when you've got a team where you are going to have to do a bit more defending, perhaps you do look at the engine of someone like Gallagher who can press high, or even Kobe Mainoo, who has obviously had to do a lot of that work for Man United.
I think Gallagher might get it, to be honest. I just think because he's got that little bit of extra bite in his tackle, I think he's really confrontational and aggressive in the challenge. But that character that he has, I think it will give us that little bit of steel, that bit of extra steel that we probably need.
So where have you got England getting to in this tournament then? I'm going to make you answer that question.
I got them in the final. I don't want to say they're going to win it because, we're all pessimists as England fans and used to getting, I don't want to say let down, but disappointed and humbled. Which I kind of anticipate.
Mate, I can't go through the heartbreak again that we went through in the last final. So I've got them to do it. I think they actually can this time. I think the strength in attacking positions is just frightening. The only worry I have is whether Southgate nullifies some of that and doesn't let it flow to its best of potential. But I love this side. I think there's some excellent players in there. And I think all you need to do is look at the ones that are probably going to get cut from this squad, who would have been absolute sensations in any previous England generation.